So guys, so obviously, as I said, today we have an important announcement that has been picked up by the news recently. The Cointelegraph have covered the new height of Singularity DAO, which is oh, there you go, from Italy. Hey Joe. So we, as you guys know, one of the milestone to hit for Singularity DAO was to recruit a head of product, and we've been looking for the right person for the last 2 to 3 months. Let me silence my notification, otherwise I get distracted. Okay. So as I was saying, as you guys know, we've been looking for a head of product for the past 2 to 3 months. We interviewed dozens of candidates, trying to find the right fit, the right person for the job, and I'm sure that we find that person in Chris Poulin, who has joined us about a month ago, full time, maybe less than a month now. To head the tech department at Singularity DAO, as well as the AI team. So it's a complex job. We needed somebody that is a pure breed, and we think that Chris is absolutely the right person for the job. But before getting to a more formal introduction, let me give you some exciting updates. So of course, last week we launched bonded staking on the Singularity DAO MVP that you guys can see at app.singularitydao.ai, and is obviously linked from our website. And hopefully you'll be able to find a link in the description below this video, together with all the links that you need to stay in touch with Singularity DAO and the SingularityNET ecosystem. Important, do follow Singularity DAO YouTube channel, because until we don't reach to 1,000 subscribers, YouTube doesn't allow us to do live videos. And we would really love to do live videos from Singularity DAO YouTube channel. So please subscribe to Singularity DAO so that we can finally move over and start growing that channel as well, and spread the AI DeFi word over to the YouTube sphere. So I was saying, guys, we launched bonded staking last week. Extreme success. Over 65% of the total DAO token supply is now staked on our staking smart contract, which is an incredible news. The big majority of those who have received and already claimed the airdrop are now staking into our bonded staking smart contract, which proved a great support by you guys. And we are humbled, we are honored, and extremely grateful, because that means that you keep supporting the project, and obviously for us that means a lot. Is a result that we did not expect. We were expecting high selling pressure from the airdrop, but all of you that have been loyal to Singularity Net ecosystem, and that loyally have kept AGI and then AGIX into your wallet in order to receive the airdrop, are now loyal supporter of Singularity DAO. And it's a great win for us as a team, for you as a community, and for the DAO itself as a decentralized autonomous organization. We can't wait for the day in which we will finally be able to get the community to vote and the DAO to actually vote on the first decisions. I think that as we speak, we are publishing an overall SingularityNET ecosystem roadmap update, and you will see that we have in plan our first community vote in the next few months, as well as many other cool updates, such as we're working on partnering with Orion protocol, which will allow greater liquidity to come to this DAO token, and to be able to trade this DAO token across multiple centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges seamlessly and simultaneously. So check out Orion protocol. We are working on our token bridge so that this DAO token will be able to be traded across Polygon and BSC. And we are working on our first community vote. And of course, all our efforts are into the development of Dinets, which is the reason why we brought Chris Poulin on board. Regarding the airdrop, I know that there have been some complaints in the community because unfortunately that there have been some, again, mistake in the calculation of the rewards. I have to say that you know, the airdrop mechanic that we created was very complicated, and we did it in response of the first community feedback, and we really wanted to create a mechanic that was rewarding the loyalty to the SingularityNET ecosystem, and we did so introducing logarithmic curve, introducing a system that would incentivize the community to keep the token for longer, and in their private wallets. And of course, as a system, as a complicated system, it was prone to mistakes, right? And but it's all fixed, and those people that have been mistakenly receive less rewards than they should have are going to be compensated in the next couple of hours. So watch your account, because we will send you the token that you deserved. So let's see other community updates. Airdrop extremely successful. Sorry, airdrop is going to be fixed. Bonded staking extremely successful. Orion protocol partnership coming soon. Token bridge coming soon. We're also likely new liquidity pools on Bancor. A second, sorry. So there will be greater liquidity coming to the Singularity DAO ecosystem. So a lot of exciting news. Let's see if you guys have any questions from the chat. We are reading the chat when I'm not trying to say clever things. Let me see. When Dinets, again, towards the end of the year, we'll talk about this very, very soon. We'll be in our DAO token if they are staked. Yes, you will. Yes, we're reading the chat. When do you see Binance accepting DAO? Is not up to us. Ask Binance. Which will be the first Dinets? Very likely. I mean, as we explained over our blog several times, the first Dinets is likely to be BTC, ETH, USDT Dinets. And Shadow, if we choose the automatic stay option before the airdrop claiming period was closed, is it claim automatically, or do we also have to claim? You have to ask John, my friend. John is the expert in the airdrop. Will the launchpad come before Dinets? And can you give us more details? Yeah, the launchpad, guys, it's an interesting topic. So the launchpad, I would really like to have it as soon as possible. We are working on that, but unfortunately we can't do too many things at the same time. So ideally we should have it this year, because of course it's a great opportunity for the whole ecosystem. And we see, first of all, we would like to use it for the SingularityNET project itself. Second, there are a lot of other projects coming up that we would like our community to be able to offer to our community. And also, it's a great way to grow the Singularity DAO ecosystem, to get new projects into the Dinets, and actually in the overall SingularityNET ecosystem. So
Yeah, Launchpad it's one of my main passions, I would say, but the priority are Dynasets. So the priority needs to be Dynasets. Okay, guys. So I think now is the time for the main dish of this event. So today we announced the hiring of our new CTO and AI lead, Chris Poulin, who comes from almost 2 years experience working at Microsoft in a senior role in machine learning and big data. He will tell us more about it. Over 25 years of experience developing artificial intelligence tools for finance. And as I said, we interviewed dozens of candidates for this role, and we believe that Chris was the strongest one, especially because of his experience in AI and finance. He comes from Ben's network, so he's been working with Ben for several years in different projects. So we had that internal relationship already, and especially was very passionate about what we are doing at Singularity DAO, and he shared some great idea on how to build Dynasets. He's a great leader. He has led large teams of AI engineers before, as well as tech engineers. So it will be great if you can welcome Chris to this live. Hello, Chris.
How are you? See if
I cannot hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go. Now we cannot hear you, unfortunately. As Ben says, it's easier to build AGI than get Zoom to work sometime, or get the microphone to work. Let's see what we're doing wrong. In the meantime, how excited are you guys to meet Chris from 1 to 10? Tell me in the chat. 1 to 10, how excited are you?
If they can hear me, right?
Hello, guys. Yeah, everybody getting super.
No, we can hear you, Chris. Marcello.
Can you guys hear Chris and I cannot for some reason?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, that's something.
Okay. So for some funny reason, they can hear you, Chris, but I cannot hear you. So that's going to be a funny conversation to have.
Well, thank you to the community in the meantime. I appreciate it.
Now I can hear now. Perfect.
Oh, cool. So yeah, thanks for the welcome, and I appreciate the kind words. I can definitely attest that in my short time interacting with the team, that Marcello seems to be a natural leader and has put together a really great crew, and I'm happy to join.
Yeah, no, I hope you can still hear me. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's great.
Okay, fantastic. I switched to another microphone because the problem was apparently my headphones. And thank you for the kind word, Chris. And of course, I'm grateful and humbled by the opportunity to work with you and to learn from you, from your leadership skills. And every call that we have together is a growth opportunity for me and for the rest of the team. So the first few days working together has been fantastic, but I would like the community to get to know you a little bit better. So if you can share just a few words about your experience, your background, and your relationship with Ben as well.
Sure. So I guess at the highest level, I got into computing in the 90s, and mostly in networking was sort of my profession. But I was doing grad school at MIT in neural networks and bioinformatics and that sort of thing. So at the time, it sort of didn't. I was in my 20s and early 20s. I couldn't figure out how to sort of blend my job with my education, right? So in the early 2000s. I decided to try to merge that as best I could, and merging that meant sort of intelligent networks, right? So e-commerce was really booming. Obviously, we're now sort of in this crazy, almost dystopian e-commerce world. But the point is that at that time in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was obviously an explosion in e-commerce. And so I was running a startup at the time, which was one of the largest in North America, called Net Anything, which has gone completely away. But it got me invited to events sitting next to Jeff Bezos and all sorts of fancy things back then. So again, my focus at the time was, how do I make networks more intelligent, and how do I look at transactions and that sort of thing? And I was able to integrate neural networks a little bit, but I started to get involved with something called Bayesian networks, right? And so Bayesian networks are statistically driven networks. And so I went off and sort of decided to build Bayesian tools. And so people were sort of calling me the Stephen Wolfram Jr., right? And when I would go around the conference circuit, and that was in the early 2000s. So I was selling. So I was still doing a lot of network high-end networking things, but I was also doing math tools, right, and selling AI tools to business. And so our biggest customer in the early 2000s was Toyota Motors, where we were. I like to joke with people that we did the Prius pedals, but that's kind of an older joke. So anyway, we didn't do the Prius pedals, but we did work with Toyota Research Japan, and we were putting Bayesian networks into sort of predicting car part wear and that sort of thing. But what I was really passionate about in the early 2000s was how do we scale this up to solve sort of big problems? And the two big problems that I was interested in at the time, and I ended up making a career out of, were finance and healthcare, right? Because in finance and healthcare, you have this issue of big data, which didn't even, the term didn't exist. People weren't really aware of it back then. And so we were building a lot of scalable tools, right? Again, back to the network, right? We were taking these math tools and building them at scale. And so at about the mid 2000s, when we were filing patents and doing all sorts of intellectual property registrations, the only other guy who was doing this or had been there before was Ben Goertzel. So that's how I found out about Ben, was just through sort of literally literature search. And then in the late 2000s, I had sort of made a reputation, as you mentioned, in financial analytics, and had a variety of successes there in selling sort of more specialized tools in finance. And but I was also sort of trained in theoretical work with Marvin Minsky at MIT. And so I always had sort of a dualistic existence where, like Ben, I was trying to make a living in AI, but you have to sort of narrow your focus on what your product offering is. And so I was selling narrowly focused products that solved specific business goals, but I was also cognizant of the broader sort of cognitive context of artificial intelligence, and eventually what Ben would champion as AGI, right? And so then at a DARPA conference in about 2009, Ben and I were sort of the backbenchers, and Ben was invited because I think that they recognized his long-standing contributions. I was sort of invited for whatever weird reason, but the point was that we were sort of the two guys in the Muppets, right, that criticized that the show's not good. That at the time people were just sort of in love with deep learning and how it was going to solve everything. Mm-hmm. And it turns out the reality is somewhere in the middle, right? It always turns out the reality is somewhere in the middle, because this was 2009. Not that many people had heard about deep learning, and deep learning has gone on to solve a variety of challenges. So I think that there has, that conference predicted a deep learning revolution that did occur. But of course, in that conference, they were also saying that deep learning was going to be a road to AGI, which, for those of you on this, in your community that are savvy on this, that's a dubious claim. And certainly Ben was the best expert in the room to actually answer that question. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how we clicked. And then we ended up working together on real, projects together, academic research projects. I started a machine learning group at Dartmouth College here in the U.S. and invited Ben to join me as, again, sort of, someone I respected. And then he and I also worked on, and this is sort of what I'd hope to, this is a foreshadowing of, as you know, as Marcello and I've talked offline about trying to bring this into SingDAO and SingularityNET broadly, that we were trying to do something, that was contextually intelligent in AI at Dartmouth. But then the very next project was building a end-to-end product workflow that was robust, that used AI to make decisions to inform clinicians in this case, right? And that clinicians would be informed in real time with accurate information, and that information could then also be analyzed. And so once that project spun down and went and sort of the government money ran out, I pivoted to Microsoft. Microsoft had been at me for a while to be a subject matter expert leader. And so I was sort of the senior machine learning guy on the East Coast from Microsoft for, as you said, just about 2 years until they did a reorg, and just then went back to my financial analytics practice, and here I am.
Fantastic. That's very interesting. And I've seen people in the community find it quite paradoxical, the fact that you joined. So you had your enterprise career with Microsoft, and now joining the wonderful decentralized startup world, actually. So we, with SingularityNET and here in the blockchain, we're kind of disrupting that centralized enterprise paradigms, right? So how do you feel about that? Are you ready for that challenge?
No, I think it's the natural evolution. I mean, I'm not just ready for the challenge. I think this is the only way to go. I mean, it's and because, and I won't get overly political, but Ben and I share a love of decentralized power to the people type projects. I mean, and it's irrespective of our own likes, which obviously, you're the CEO of the project, so you like that too. I'm just saying that irrespective of our own likes, we're seeing, the community knows that we're seeing a tremendous amount of centralization of banking resources. In the US, the Federal Reserve, pumps a ton of money into the top of the system, and it doesn't always trickle down despite Ronald Reagan's best efforts. And so my point would be that decentralized exchange, off the record, people at the Federal Reserve understand that's going to be a growing area. So clearly decentralized finance is the future, and if Singularity DAO can be one of the seminal leaders in that space, then it's very exciting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I second everything that you said, and for us, the real goal is to build a true decentralized autonomous organization. So an organization that can sustain itself almost as a living organism, right? Where we reach a level of community engagement high enough that the community can make decision on their own, right? So one day there wouldn't be a need of a CEO anymore, because the community will be able to make their own decision. And that's the ultimate level of decentralization that we want to achieve. Of course, it will take years to get there, but I'm confident that before or after we will get there. And so when we first talked, of course, Ben gave a very warm introduction about you, and he spoke very highly of you. But the reason why I immediately thought that you were the right person was because of your focus on creating products, and that's in my vision needs to be the focus of Singularity DAO. We want to create tools for the decentralized finance economy, and an AI driven tool. So what do you think is the opportunity there?
Yeah, I mean, I guess going back to what you just said, it's a sort of non-trivial challenge to productize AI things, as you know, right? And the challenge is the following. The challenge is that people studying AI, right? I mean, if and people often come to me and say, where do I start, Chris, right? How do I start studying AI? How do I start studying machine learning? And I give them advice and very happy to do it. But there's a focus on algorithms. There's a focus on data processing. There's a focus on data science. There's a focus on these various mechanical components or scientific components of that story. But then getting that out into the marketplace is a very different story, as you know, and getting that out into the world is a very different story. So if you're going to go with, if you're going to then use machine learning in academia, you still have to package it in an academic way, and whether it's with Nature or whomever it is. And so in the product world, conversely, though, there are very many successful product companies out there in the world, and there's a zillion, right, of product companies out there who are successful at marketing and packaging things, but then to also understand what is useful and not useful in artificial intelligence is a hard cognitive problem. So to merge the two, you really have to, you don't have to necessarily be, the greatest of minds, but you do have to have humility, and you have to understand that you are solving for both problems simultaneously. It's, in math, it's the multi-objective optimization problem. But it turns out that if you're optimizing for one thing, you can be good at it. You're optimizing for two things, you can probably be good at it. But you're optimizing for 3, 4, or 6, et cetera, on your list, you're probably not going to be very good, right? I mean, this is sort of a Ray Dalio sort of financial advice, is to go after one thing, not everything, right? So that's kind of the high level challenge, is that you find AI companies don't tend to be good at product, and product companies don't tend to be good at AI. And so I think that's the needle we have to thread at Singularity DAO. But to directly answer your question about the product vision going forward, I'm very excited, because again, if we can distill out the noise, and by the noise I mean cool research that we'd like to do in AI but we don't have time for, and cool product ideas that or I should say maybe dogmatic things in product that we should do but aren't practical given that we have the data science that we have to wrestle with, right? If we're just really kind of trying to sharpen the or curb the edges, is a better analogy, on that, and focus, that's what I'm trying to do with the team. And I think we're I've just joined, right? But in the first couple of weeks, I think people, certainly you and Mario and Ben and the leadership team have been great at agreeing with that vision and pushing that vision. And I think it's starting to, the engineers and the team are starting to understand where I'm coming from, that I'm not there to ruin their day. I'm if they're crypto guys, I'm there to make them better AI guys. And if they're AI guys, I'm there to make them better crypto guys. But the high level point is that we have to develop something that has value to the community.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's so fascinating, and I have to say that everybody in the team so far loves working with you, and they're very excited by the idea of learning from you. So that definitely, you're not there to ruin their day, but actually to improve their day, and I'm sure that everybody's taking it as a growth opportunity. And actually, this allows me to thank the development team at Singularity DAO, because they've been working extremely hard day and night over the weekend in order to fix the airdrop issues that affected the community, and in order to deliver the MVP, and everybody is going the extra mile. So the reason why Singularity DAO is doing so well is solely because of the hard work of the development team. Of the various Jerome, Thomas, Sridhar, Ram, Adam, John has been extremely helpful, not just on the community side, but also on the product architecture, the MVP architecture side, and John Grove that you see in the community. Robert, who joined us a little more than a month ago. Everybody is literally like overperforming, and with Chris's addiction, I think I think we are creating a stellar team. Guys in the chat, I'm reading your questions. I will answer your questions after this chat with Chris. I read a lot of questions regarding Cardano. So tomorrow, I believe, I'm live on Cardano 360. So watch the show because I'm going to answer all of your questions regarding Cardano. So Chris, productization. So obviously the core product of Singularity DAO are Dinets, and your main mission would be to deliver Dinets to the community. How do you plan to go about that, and what do you see as a timeline, and how can you reassure the community about Dinets?
Sure. So I think with Dinets, we want to make sure that the value is pretty rock solid. So what I mean by that is that the initial release, which seems to be on track for sometime in Q4, I guess we have to sort of internally figure out the exact date, but you know, we seem to be on track to build a sort of minimum feature set for the first release. And by first release, I mean something that's adding value in terms of you know, whether it's mild arbitrage or mild positioning of rebalancing, etc. The sort of the analogy here is Othello, right? The sort of minutes to learn, lifetime to master, in terms of how the situation is that we want to do something. We want to do something that has utility and has stability, because the key thing is we don't want to lose any of your money. You know, meaning talking to the community, we don't want to lose any of your money in a mistake, right? So I think that's the first focus, is to make sure we have something stable that's not going to just have tokens disappear. And then longer term, we can start adding functionality once we're comfortable that it's stable. And by functionality, I mean that could be, you know, a long haul, but a cool one in this, insofar as that, you know, we're adding quantitatively measurable value to Dinets each quarter, right, with each subsequent release. And eventually Dinets can be more and more autonomously managed through smart contracts and things like that, where, you know, as you said, Dinets in the beginning won't be very exciting, but hopefully we will be inspiring confidence that's something to trust. Dinets in the mid-range will be something that hopefully adds quantitative financial value to the DAO. Long-term, Dinets could be the basis for exactly what you're talking about in terms of a smart contract-based governance of the whole system.
Yeah, thank you. No, this is really important, because in crypto in general, the community of token holders, they expect incredible product coming soon, right? Coming immediately. And part of my job and our job as executives in Singularity DAO is to manage the community expectations. In the normal startup world, and correct me if I'm wrong, you first like raise a seed amount of money to start developing an MVP, and then you raise a little bit more to add some functionalities, and then you do a series A and to develop an actual product. It's a gradual process. Here in crypto is the other way around. We raise almost all the money right away, and then we start developing. And of course the community of token holders, they expect to have usable product from day one, but the reality is that this is a journey. This is a journey that will take potentially years, but we are here to keep the community up to date with all that we're working on, and to make sure that we manage expectation. As you said at the beginning, Dinets might not be that exciting, but mid to long time range, we might actually deliver something that can actually disrupt the DeFi ecosystem. So, Chris, I think you've answered this a little bit in bolts and pieces across all the questions that I've already asked you. But you know, when we chatted the first time, it almost seemed like too good to be true. And I was wondering, how do I convince Chris to join Singularity DAO? And I would like to know, what did I tell you, or why Singularity DAO was interesting to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a sort of a complex picture, right? I mean, I like, as I opened up with, you inspire confidence as a leader, so I'm thankful for that. And I mean, if I reported to a boss that I didn't respect, it would be hard. So there's that checkbox, right? And as we talked about, I have long-standing collaboration with Ben and respect for Ben is kind of like a older brother figure, right? And mentor in that way, right? So I think that Ben, Ben's continual collaboration, mattered to me. And then, sort of depersonalizing it all. I believe in the SingDAO mission, right? I'm a Singularity DAO mission insofar as that, as I said, with decentralized finance, it's something I believe in. So I believe in decentralized finance as a high level thing. In terms of other sort of less substantive things, but the things that contributed is that obviously if we take executive team out of the picture, we take the business plan out of the picture, you've hired a team of great engineers and a lot of talented people that I've encountered. As I mention the team all the time, I'm impressed with people's resumes. I'm impressed with their excitement and their enthusiasm. That's not a challenge for us. I think a challenge for us will be to simultaneously stay focused on, like you said, Dinets and various core value propositions, and to stay focused on adding value in that space, while at the same time, obviously being able to pivot for challenges that happen to the crypto community in general, right? I mean, but in terms of talent, I'm impressed with what you and the rest of the executive team have done in terms of collecting people. And I'd say the final thing is that, and I'm certainly, happy to help the rest of the SingularityNET community in general. But one of the reasons why I liked, as I mentioned, Singularity DAO was that it was an opportunity for me to really come in and rinse and repeat some of the things that I've done in terms of productization of financial AI, and knowing that I could help, not as we mentioned, not so as we mentioned in sidebars, not so much out of amazing intellect, but because I've been down that road of knowing what doesn't work, and sometimes it can be challenging because you don't even know. To your point about raising money, I mean, sometimes you spend a lot of time and resources on chasing things in AI that just don't work, and all of us from an intellectual curiosity standpoint say that's fine and good, but from from the Marcello view and from your investors and even the community in general, it's that, it's not worth it if it tanks the whole thing financially. So we've got, so that focus and that laser focus is what is where I could add a lot of value versus, I wouldn't go join a research team or join a product team that was, making new cereal.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that a lot. I mean, yeah, we're definitely building like fascinating tools. We want to innovate this space, and we're also pioneer. I mean, DeFi has been around for what, a couple of years. The whole crypto ecosystem has literally like reached some sort of mainstream attention in 2017. So we are very much at the beginning, and that so much that we can do, and it feels, I mean, it feels incredible to be at this turning point of history and to be able to create something that will eventually change not just the crypto world, but the whole finance world. Then, Chris, another thing that I mean, obviously working with somebody with your experience inspired great confidence in the whole team, in the executive team, in myself as well, that I can finally trust blindly somebody to take care of the product, which means that also I can spend more time chasing partnerships and spreading the Singularity DAO word around. But something that I really appreciate about you is that you take great care of the security aspect, and this is obviously crucial. I mean, we've seen a couple of very large hacks happening in the last 10 days or so, and here with Singularity DAO we will handle people's funds. I mean, not directly because we're not custodial. I want to specify that, but the security aspect is paramount.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I as you know, and I mean, internally that it's getting an AI product out the door, AI inspired or AI, or smarter product, if we want to call it that, is certainly the end goal. But if you can't, but there's sometimes when as they say, when you're running, it's like if you can't get out of the blocks, right? If you trip when you start running, you can be the fastest runner, but if you trip, you're toast in the race, right? So why I say that is because clearly the DeFi community has been hacked a lot lately, and hacked and also exchanges, but I think that clearly the higher profile any project is, you're going to have a lot of attention and a lot of negative attention. And a lot of what I did when I was working with the military in the US for this, again, mobile psychology app that we had, which was the first of its kind, and again, Ben was on that team. A lot of that was security and medical level security, and we just we wanted to make sure we just didn't lose people's medical records in that case, right? And that's kind of the commonality between healthcare and finance, is that you have healthcare data, which is highly sensitive, and then in finance you have financial data, which is very sensitive, and or money or someone's actual health if you turned off their device in the hospital. So finance and healthcare are very similar in the synergy of having security being a key thing. So yes, we can do all sorts of cool things in AI, but I'm not interested, and I'm certainly interested in disseminating to the community general information about AI, educational information about AI, that sort of thing. But I don't want our AI inspired DeFi experience to be contaminated by security holes, because I know that can just wreck the whole thing. And so that's definitely my background, and I'm happy that you're embracing that.
Yeah, as you said to me in the one of our calls, you don't want to be that guy that got hacked, right?
Right.
No,
that famous guy, not just that guy, that famous guy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We don't want to be that guy, and I think that the community should feel extremely confident that we have an extremely competent CTO taking care of the security of their funds, of creating compelling product, and that will make Singularity DAO and its whole ecosystem extremely successful. So Chris, thank you so much. I don't want to steal any more of your time. I want to give the community a few more updates. Thank you so much for joining Singularity DAO, for joining this live chat. And I don't know if there is anything else that you want to add that I haven't asked you, maybe?
No. Are there any questions that the community has you want me to? I mean, I guess it's harder for me to read maybe than.
Yeah, I mean, some of these questions have already been answered. I mean, they're asking the Dinets release, a lot of questions about Cardano. Somebody saying Chris Poulin is an unbelievably great hire. Really looking forward to the future of Singularity DAO. So everybody,
let's
really
talk about that one.
Absolutely. Somebody asking you like, what drew you to Singularity DAO, and we already answered that question.
Right.
So I think we are, and then Cardano, who I basically will. So so Cardano for us is an extremely important partner, right? So by definition, Singularity DAO and its Dinets will be launched on different ecosystems. So as soon as Cardano is ready, it would be great for us. It will be our priority to launch Cardano specific Dinets, and but also like to build a bridge for this DAO token to be traded on Cardano. So rest assured that Cardano has been an extremely valuable partner for SingularityNET, and would be a valuable partner for Singularity DAO. as well as many other ecosystems. So we are decentralized, so we need to be working with many different partners and not to limit ourselves. So I don't know. Are you familiar with the Cardano ecosystem or?
Yeah, I'm familiar in an academic sense. I don't own any, but
Yeah, of course, not financial advice, of course.
And there's a question on the chat that I see that have I staked SDAO yet? And no, I have not. But I'm new. I'll get up to speed. So forgive me.
Yeah, no. To be honest, I haven't staked my tokens either, because I feel that as a founder, I shouldn't be taking up community rewards. I want the rewards to be spread to the community and not to be taken by us who are already lucky enough to receive tokens and to be part of this great ecosystem. So I prefer to leave it up to the community. Okay, somebody say, I just don't want to pay outrageous gas prices every time I want to stake my DAO. Yes, I know, absolutely. So Cardano will definitely come in support, as well as BSC, as well as Polygon, and other more efficient than Ethereum blockchains. And I also saw somebody complaining that they paid $30 in gas fees to interact with our app. Unfortunately, that is not our fault. These are not money that we get, right? So these are money that the people that are maintaining the Ethereum blockchain gets for approving the transaction, for verifying the transaction. So that's very little that we can do about it. Ethereum is not ideal right now. Of course, it's a constantly improving ecosystem that improves in a decentralized way. But I think community is right that we should be looking past Ethereum and to cross-pollinate with other communities as well.
Got it.
Let's see what else. What is this DAO distribution scheme? I don't know what that means exactly. Chris, you stake DAO. I see that. So Chris, how do we make Dinets stable, and how can we make sure that Dinets will provide alpha even during bear markets?
Yeah, I mean that sort of is a laser question on what I was saying about stability, right? Because I mean I think that obviously in the financial community there's alpha and beta. Alpha being, for the people on the channel who may or may not know, alpha is your upside gains and your beta is your downside risk. And so without a doubt, we want to focus on understanding the beta risk so that we understand what the downside is potentially for the tokens. And on the upside, this is what I meant about trying to be conservative about literally deleveraging when something looks like it's a momentum play or something along those lines, when there's sort of an obvious amount of inefficiency in the market or a crash, etc. You can do in standard finance, you do something called stop loss, right? And stop loss is where you peg and say that if it's losing this amount of money, we get out. And so there's some basic schemes of sort of conservative portfolio management that you can put into Dinets that will reduce the jitter and reduce the losses, as well as sort of add some small amount of gains. And I've been able to do that pretty well in my career of managing portfolios in that way. The sort of challenge of things is making spectacular returns, whether it's the hype around coins, or it's tokens, or it's it's artificial intelligence, or luck, right, in terms of the actual upside. But again, we're going to go with basic things, so that when there is a bear market, the coin and the token is still a little shinier than the other the other tokens and coins out there in the bear market. And then preferably, right? Preferably we are, we are longer term, or I should say, like, again, midterm, we're generating enough alpha on these coins that it's getting attention and notice. And so if you go up, I mean, this is completely hypothetical. I'm not standing by this, right? But if you go up 200% and then above the market, and then you fall, and then a bear market occurs and you crash 50%, then you're still up, right? So things like that, right? Where you're sort of midterm, you're generating enough profitability that your stock is still up from where you bought it. I mean, your tokens and coins and distributed assets.
Yeah. So there is a question here that definitely don't know how to answer. What papers can we refer to get familiarized with the AI algorithms? Does DAO use XGBoost or autoregressive models for dataset stability?
We do use XGBoost and autoregressive schemes for classification, but then you have to wrap that into like a Kelly criterion type, or like I said, a stop loss. So in other words, it's the difference between predictive analytics and prescriptive. Predictive analytics tells you, hey, there's a problem here, but a predictive analytics scenario doesn't tell you the impact. Prescriptive analytics is, there's a problem here, and this is what you have to do to sort of leverage that prediction. And in finance, it's the difference between a signal and, or buy signal or something along those lines, and actually making an asset allocation, right? So we would use autoregressive schemes, XGBoost, a variety of cutting edge classification schemes to do the prediction component based on on-chain or off-chain information, but we wouldn't actually, we would have to wrap that into a risk management framework as well.
Amazing.
Amazing. We got to do it though. We got to build it.
Gotta build it, but I'm sure we will. Okay, I can see John is also linking some research paper. Another question that was quite intriguing. Where do you see Singularity DAO being in 1 year from now?
So what I'd like to see is that Dinets just will, well, I'd like to, the summation of this conversation would just be great, right? If we can just deliver on, the goals that you've set and you and the executive team have set prior, right, to me joining. I mean, I like those goals. As I said, that's a major reason I'm joining. And so just the conservative implementation of Dinets would clearly be valuable to the community, but would also have us standing heads above the rest. Because then again, back to incorporating the security, back to incorporating team cohesiveness, back to incorporating all of these things that we've talked about. If you've got a nice, stable, reliable platform, you can start building building all of these great truly artificial intelligence inspired transactions on top of that. And so in a year from now, I'd like to see that in a quantitative sense we added real value to the community, and in a qualitative sense we got much closer to your vision of a self-regulated DAO, where the smart contracts were actually very smart.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point, right? I mean, right now, smart contracts are not that smart. That's a problem, and not even contract actually, but it's a first iteration, and hopefully in a few years we will get to a point in which the DAO would be the expression of the collective intelligence of the community through technological means. Let me see if we have. Yeah, community seems to be very excited. Guys, show me how excited you are about Chris joining Singularity DAO. And I think we've answered all questions. So for those that have just tuned in, we are here today introducing our new CTO and AI lead, Chris Poulin, who's been announced today as a new CTO of Singularity DAO. I am the CEO of Singularity DAO, the DeFi spin-off of SingularityNET. If you want to learn more about Singularity DAO, we have some documentation available on the SingularityDao.ai website. You can find the link here below in the descriptions to all our social channels and our community, where we have friendly admins and volunteers that can answer all of your questions, whether they're related to the airdrop or not, whether they're related to Cardano or not, or the future of Dinets. Let's see, Chris, are you concerned about any potential competition starting a similar project?
Well, I mean, obviously we'd be foolish not to worry about competition, but you know, this is kind of, this is one of the answers sort of actually sits somewhere between you and I, Marcello, right? It's you know, meaning that I have my opinions and you have your opinions, and really in aggregate, that's the answer. But from my part, right, from my techie perspective, I would say that you know, and this kind of goes to me joining Microsoft, that I don't regret joining Microsoft at all. I mean, I was never a Microsoft fanboy. It was never somebody that was like, oh, my goal in life is to join Microsoft. No, it was not at all. And they wanted me to join them, and I kept saying no. With you guys, I said yes on the first try, right? But with Microsoft, I kept saying, nah, I don't want to join. I'm a little, despite my collared shirt, right? I'm more libertarian like Ben, right? So I you know, I was just a little hesitant to join a big mega corporation. But why I say this is because it was a great opportunity to see, you know, as they say, how the sausage is made on the inside of a tech giant. And so why am I going in this tangent? Because I'm basically saying that AI in general, machine learning at scale, machine learning services, business intelligence, predictive analytics, you name it, right? The sort of narrow cases of these technologies, generally the big companies will come along, right? And when they come lumbering along, it will not be smart, but there will be the tunes of hundreds of billions of dollars, right? People don't realize that, you know, you can do a lot with a lot of money, right? So the biggest threat to us is that we sit around and we do nothing for a couple of years, and then the big guys come along and say, oh, you know, we want to do this too, right? That sort of thing. But I will say that's a legitimate market threat. But in terms of startups, it's very hard to do this. It's very hard to, as you know, Marcello, right? It's hard to put a team together. It's hard to get that team cohesive. It's hard to get that team focused. It's hard to get tech talent, and it's hard to have that ecosystem like SingularityNET has, right, prior. So there's a lot of ingredients here, irrespective of me, right? There's a lot of ingredients here that are unique. And so from larger competitors, yeah, I mean, if we sit around for a couple of years, you know, they will come knocking. But from smaller people who are doing similar things, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's always going to be like that, you know, that awesome hacker from the Ukraine or whatever that comes up with the newest, coolest coin. But I'm just saying that generally speaking, it's hard to, you know, and I'm more stealing your thunder, right, Marcello? This is more of like a Marcello story, right? That it's hard to put this team together. Previous to me joining.
I get this question quite often with the AMAs, right? I mean, and they often ask me like who, and even like, to be honest, when we were talking like to private investor institutions beforehand, and they often ask about competition, and my answer is always the same. I mean, the putting together an AI team is extremely challenging, and AI talents are very rare in the market. And we are lucky enough that SingularityNET provided us with this talent in first place, and in crypto nobody has the amount of AI scientists that SingularityNET has, and actually this kind of reflect the story of how we met, right? I mean, if it wasn't for Ben, we would have not met, right? And having like a catalyst, like a magnet, like Ben, is an extreme advantage for us, because it helps us attracting talents that want to gravitate around the ecosystem that Ben has built over the past 5 years, and nobody else in the market has that. Nobody has the power of the SingularityNET Foundation behind, the brand, the talents, and so yeah, I mean, competitors will come along. Innovation, thankfully, will come along into the DeFi ecosystem, and we really welcome anybody who can innovate this space. We often say that in the blockchain space, we don't compete. We work together to move the ecosystem forward. We are conscious that we can only grow if the crypto space grows with us. And as I said before, we are pioneers. So there is definitely room for everybody here. So I don't fear competition. I welcome competition. But as you said, you know, like when big enterprises will start coming in, throwing in hundreds of meals, that will become problematic. But eventually, by then, we would have built the core infrastructure and will be serving this player rather than working against these players, which is ultimately our missions with Singularity DAO, is to provide tools for traditional players to come in to the crypto economy. And eventually we'll be working with them and not against them. Let's see if I can take another couple of questions before tuning off. Will Dinets be tokens or similar to the current LP pools? This one is interesting. Thoughts on efficient market hypothesis? This is one for you, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, well, on the Dinets being tokens, I don't see that as the first iteration, but you know, certainly that could be a future fantasy. I mean, not future fantasy, future candidate. And then in terms of efficient market hypothesis, yeah, I mean, I don't believe it. I mean, one of the things that I worked with the Federal Reserve system back during the Ben Bernanke era, right? So during the 2008 crash, was trying to quantify price elasticity across multiple assets, right? So what you're trying to do is what you're literally trying to do is measure how efficient the market actually is. You're trying to say, this is the prices, expected prices. This is actually where they are, and what changes the sort of the frontier between the two, and is there a quantifiable sort of measurement? I think we found in the case of sentiment that there was a 3-day lag, and then we never published that. We shared that with the Fed, but then Twitter published how they had a 3-day lag between prices and the effect of sentiment on their systems. So I guess the intelligent answer versus I don't believe it. The intelligent answer is that things collapse to an efficient market, right? They sort of over time will regress to the mean, and the mean is the efficient market. So it's not worthless. It's just that when things come out and when things happen, by definition, they tend to be inefficient. And obviously there's a lack of information parity. And in information parity, you have a situation where even if it's not insider trading, somebody knows something that somebody else doesn't know. And so there's always that inefficiency. And that's just sort of, a realistic appraisal of the world, right? So that's my long-winded comment on efficient market theory.
No, I totally agree. I'm also not a big fan of the invisible hand, and I mean, it was the 2008 crisis was a clear example of that, right? And but yeah, so fortunately we have AI that can help us beating that theory. Guys, I feel like we've been chatted a lot. Let's see what I can see it from here. But yeah, I mean, I think it's about time to wrap up this conversation because I have another call starting quite soon. But for those that, as our friendly marketers are reminding us, if you just tune in, please follow the Singularity DAO YouTube channel. You find the link in the description and on the chat, because we need to reach to 1,000 subscribers before start streaming live from that. So that's an important milestone. Marketing, Chris, is also like extremely important in crypto. We need to make sure that the word is spread out. We need to make sure that we communicate constantly with the community, which is the real source of value for everything that we do. That we do on at Singularity DAO. So I've learned a lot about how important is communication. So that's why we're doing this catch up with the community almost on a weekly basis. We will be introducing more team members in the future. Hope to have you back here, Chris, and chatting with you more. I truly enjoyed this conversation. I can see that the community also enjoyed it, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, and thanks for hiring me.
Thanks for joining us. It's an honor and a privilege to be working with you, and I'm so looking forward for the next years of us collaborating.
Likewise, and thank you, community, and we'll see you again.
Thank you, Chris. I'm just going to say a couple of words to wrap up.
Sure.
Thank you. So here we are. So I think this was an extremely good live. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for all of your questions, for your support, which means a lot to us. Again, a few things have gone slightly wrong with the airdrop, but after all, the results has been very good. So we completed the delivery of. We just completed with the latest disperse to those wallets that were affected by this glitch. We just completed the delivery of 5 million tokens, right, as an airdrop, and I think this is an exciting milestone, being the first project of the SingularityNET ecosystem doing so, paving the way for more projects to do so. Creating the tools to automate the airdrop process moving forward has been an exciting and difficult journey. We learned a lot. We made mistakes. We fix our mistakes. I take full responsibility for the mistake that have been done, because the team has worked extremely hard behind the scene, and ultimately the mistake were done because of wrong decisions from the top. So our developers are top notch and some of the world best, as well as everybody who's working at Singularity DAO. So guys, please again follow us, follow Singularity DAO YouTube channel, because I'm gonna have more of these chats with more team members that I'm really keen to introduce to you guys. We hired some serious geniuses here. Everybody's smarter than me, don't worry. And I'm really keen to introduce them to you in the next few weeks. Don't forget to follow Nunet, which is going to be the new star of the SingularityNET ecosystem, led by Kabir Veitas, one of our senior AI scientists and researcher, PhD. He's another of the mad geniuses within the SingularityNET ecosystem, and obviously I'm gonna support Nunet in their mission to go to market, to build a community. We are going to be partnering, of course, with Nunet, which we announced. I mean, I know that Kabir announced from his live few days ago, and that was almost came as a surprise to the community. But to me, it was clear since the beginning that there is a clear synergy between NuNet and Singularity DAO. We of course gonna create common rewards pool. NuNet will be part of our ecosystem, will be of course included into Dinets, and we will obviously utilize the computing resources that NuNet will provide. Guys, I've talked way too long. Follow us and please join our community, and I'll see you on Telegram. Cheers. Bye bye.